All right, it's August 23rd. And I am, thank you. We are graphing lines in standard form today. So the last 2 days we've done graphing in slope-intercept form. What's slope-intercept form? What is slope-intercept form? Y equals mx plus b. Very good. And what's the m? What does it? Slope. Very good. Thank you. And the b? Y-intercept. Now this is an option. And maybe you really like slope-intercept form, and it's a really good form to use, especially when it's already got the y by itself. But today we're talking about standard form. Standard form, and again, if I'm writing this down, you should be too. Standard form of a linear equation is ax plus by equals c, which is kind of a weird thing. This is math. I hate math rules. This is the math form. But an example would be something like 3x plus 2y equals 8. So here's an example of a linear equation in standard form. Standard form, what do you notice about standard form? What do you notice about it? What do you got, John? Is it the same thing from yesterday? So this kind of looks, we did solve some yesterday like this, right? They started in this form, and then we would move that 3x over and divide by the 2. And it's a lot of work to put it into slope-intercept form, but it can be done. That's very true. Standard form has the x and the y on the same side. And when we have the x and the y on the same side, the easy and fast way to graph is to find x and y intercepts. And that's what we're doing today. We're going to calculate the x and y intercepts, and it turns out that it's super fast and super easy to do. So here we go. What are intercepts? What are intercepts? What are intercepts? What do you know about intercepts? Olivia. They cross very specifically. So there are points on the graph that cross what? The axes. Yeah, sure. Points on the graph that cross the x and y axes, or x. I don't know how to spell that. Is it ax?
I think it's IS.
Axis. That's axis. Oh crap.
I think it's still IS.
It's like the hippopotamus, like hippopotamuses. I don't know. Hippopotami? Is it? Axes? I don't know. All right. Weird. Okay, but let's draw a picture because pictures are worth 1,000 words. So here I have a graph. There, I drew a linear function, my linear line, okay? And it has an x and a y intercept. Oh, no. All right, so there are 2 places where the graph, the red line, crosses the x and the y axes. Right here, what would this be called? The y-intercept, because it's intersecting that y-axis. This is the y-intercept. Now, if you were to label that point as an ordered pair, now I don't have any numbers on my graph, but what would be special about that ordered pair? Give me an example of a point that might be. 0, maybe like -4 or something, if there were numbers on there. Sure. Whatever that number happened to be, I like to say it's some y value because it's on the y-axis, right? So it would be some y coordinate number. But here's the important part. The x value is 0. What would this point be called? The x-intercept, because why? It's crossing the x-axis. I know, right? It's genius, people. All right, here we go. So it's crossing the x-axis. Now give me an example of that ordered pair. What might that look like? X comma 0. Very clever. Yes. We have some number in place of the x. Maybe it's a 5 or a 7 or a negative 3 halves. I don't know. It could be any number we want. But it has the 0 in place of the y, and that's what puts it on the axis. So the short goal of calculating or finding the intercepts, here's plug in zeros. Plug in zeros. That's the name of the game today. If you want to find intercepts, you want to find those intercepts, plug in zeros. All right? So that's what we're doing today. Super easy. When it's in standard form. Example 1, graph the equation, label the intercepts. Label any intercepts. Example 1, graph the equation, label any intercepts. So because, well, let me ask you this different way. What form is this? Standard form. Yeah, standard form. It's standard form because the x and the y are on the same side of the equal sign. Standard form. There's some other conditions on that, but I don't need to talk about that right now. Okay, because it's in standard form, the easy thing to do is find the intercepts. So I'm going to do two things. I want to find the x-intercept, and I want to find the y-intercept. How do I find the x-intercept? What was that ordered pair? Look at your notes. What did we just write down? What was the ordered pair for that x-intercept? X0. X comma 0. That tells me to plug in a 0 for the y. That's what that ordered pair means. So I'm going to take my equation, 2x plus 5y, and what am I going to put in place of the y? A 0. That's what that tells me to do. Plug in a 0 for the y. That's supposed to equal 10. Now what happens when we do that? What is 5 times 0? 0. It goes away. That's super handy. What's left over?
2x.
2x equals 10. Can you solve for x? Yeah. Yes, you can. We're going to divide by 2, divide by 2. So we get x equals 5. So what's the ordered pair I'm going to graph? 5 comma 0. 5 for the x. We got a 5 for the x by plugging in a 0 for the y. 5, 0. We're going to plot that point on a graph. How do I find a y-intercept? What's the ordered pair look like? 0, y. What does that mean? What does it tell you to do? Plug in 0 for what? Yeah, 0 for the x coordinate or for the x value. So I'm going to take my equation, 2 times 0, because I'm replacing the x with the 0, plus 5y equals 10. What is 2 times 0? 0. What's left over? 5y equals 10. Good, good, good. 5y equals 10. Divide by 5. Very good. How easy is this? It's pretty ridiculously easy, isn't it? Okay, so I got y equals 2. So what's the ordered pair I'm going to graph?
2. Or 0.
0, 2. 0 for the x, 2 for the y. So make sure you get those in their proper order. Otherwise, things will just be totally messed up. All right. So I can easily plot that super fast, ladies and gentlemen. You don't even need to do tick marks. This is the beauty of labeling. If you label it, it's what it is. So 5, 0 is the x-intercept. So on my x-axis, I'm just going to plot a point and call it 5, 0. You don't even have to do any tick marks, okay? And then here we have our y-intercept. 0, 2. Oh, there, right there is where it is. And it is because I'm labeling it. And then how do you make your graph? Connect the dots. Yeah, 2 points determine a line. So there we go. That's all you have to do. Plot it, label it, connect the dots. So easy. All right? A lot of people like to do this. They like to plot the 5-2. They like to plot 5-2. And then they're like, where's the line? And so they go through the origin. That's not right. Don't do that. Okay. All right. So some teachers teach the cover it up method. If you plug in a 0 for y, that term goes away, right? What's left? 2x equals 10. Cover and solve. Cover, solve that. Okay? That's fast, right? Super simple. Totally. All right? I'm actually showing you the math behind that. So, but you can cover and solve. All right? Same thing. I want to find an x-intercept and a y-intercept. What do you have to do to find an x-intercept? Plug in 0 for y. It's some x0, so we're going to plug in a 0 for y. Cover the y. All right, so if I plug in a 0 in place of the y, what's left over? 2x is equal to 4. Divide by 2, so x equals 2.
So it's x2.
2,
Or 2.
2, 0. Very good. 2, 0. 2 for the x, we plugged in a 0 for the y. If I want to find a y-intercept, what do we do? Plug in 0 for x, or cover the x. So if I plug in 0 for x, we have 2 times 0 minus y equals 4. God bless you. 2 times 0 is 0. What's left over? Negative. I'm going to call this a negative 1y equals 4. And then divide by negative 1. So yeah, we get negative 4. So that ordered pair would be 0, negative 4. 0 that we plugged in for the x value, negative 4 was the result. All right, how easy is this? All right. Yeah. Go ahead, and now we're going to plot it, label it, and connect the dots. So 2, 0, where does that go?
2.
At 2 on the x-axis. So I go to the x-axis. It's like right there. I know it's right there because I'm labeling it that way. 0, negative 4. On the y-axis. It's like right there. 0, negative 4. Plot it, label it, connect the dots. Plot it, label it, connect the dots. Are you only going to get integer results here? Could you plot a point if it was 0, I don't know, 2.5? Sure. I could plot that point somewhere. Probably between 2 and 3, right? Okay, so fractions are possible, decimals are possible. If you want to convert to a decimal using your calculator and plot it that way to make it a little easier, that's fine. All right, if you can plot 2/3, 0, 2/3, or 2/3, 0, that's fine too. That's less than 1. Okay? Totally possible to get fractions as answers, and it will happen. Last 2 here, special case lines. Y equals a number. What kind of line is y equals a number? Horizontal. It is a horizontal line. I want to talk for a minute about why that is. It's something you could just memorize, but I want to go through really quickly. This says go to the y-axis and go to negative 3. So I'm on the y-axis. Right here is the intercept 0, negative 3. And then we would simply draw a horizontal line through it. Easy to do. So that's the graph, okay? But I want to talk about y. So if I put some other values on here, I want to know, hey, what's this point's name? What would you call this red point? 1, -3, right? Okay. And what's this red point's name? 2, -3. And what's this point's name? 3, -3. And what's this one? 4. Are you sensing a pattern here? What's this one? -2, -3. Okay. What do you notice about all of these points forever on this line? The -3. What about the -3?
It's the same.
Well, y is -3. Yeah? Yeah, that's math right there. Y is -3. The y coordinate is always -3. I don't give a rat's behind about the x value, but the y is always -3, okay? That's why the equation of this line is y equals -3, okay? Now, the stupid trick of the day, this y, if I write it kind of funny, and you take this kind of funny written y, and you think about sort of spinning it around. If you spin it around 180 degrees, what letter did it turn into? An H, yeah, do you see it? H for horizontal. Stupid trick of the day, right? Do you see that? This is a stupid trick of the day, okay? This is the reason why, okay? But that's the stupid trick of the day. Whatever works for you, okay? If this is a horizontal line, what's x equals a number? A vertical line. For the same reasoning, I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the x-axis, label my point, and draw a vertical line through it. And again, just like over here, every point on this line is going to have what in common? The x is 5. The x is 5. The x is 5. Every single time the x value is 5. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, do you have any questions for me? Okay. What are you doing to find intercepts today? cover and solve. Plugging in zeros. Ladies and gentlemen, plugging in zeros. Please get started on class practice 16 and put your name and seat number on there, please.